Hi everyone, we're Behind the Seams. I'm Gia.
I'm Leah.
I'm Jocelyn.
I'm Simi.
And last episode we talked about the closet paradox and issues with the fast fashion industry.
Today we are going to be talking about innovative ways that companies are combating all of this waste going into landfills and ways that they are reducing, reusing, and recycling this. So, did you know, out of 100 billion garments produced each year, 92 million tons of clothes end up in landfills every single year? And post-production, about 60% of 150 million garments produced around the globe, this is in 2012, were discarded just after a few years.
Yeah, do you
Not
know?
good.
I did not know that.
I didn't
Not
either.
good.
Did you know most of these end up in Ghana?
No.
At the Kantamanto market. The Kantamanto market, it's the largest secondhand market in all of Ghana, most likely all of West Africa. Basically, they receive like 15 million items of clothing in these bales per week, and it's roughly estimated that 40% of it goes to waste.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's largely due to a declining quality issue in recent years, but it's also partly because too much of it arrives so fast that these 30,000 vendors, they don't have enough space to even keep stock of all of it before the end of the day, and whatever isn't sold basically just goes to illegal landfills and dumping sites, or it goes to the bottom of the ocean.
That's so sad.
The bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like your favorite brands too, like Zara, Brandy Melville, ending up in the waste here.
Yeah.
Why did they choose that market to send all the clothes to?
That's a good question. I think there's a very big culture of wearing secondhand clothing in Ghana already, from decades ago, like the 80s and the 90s. It's just with fast fashion and these all-consuming trends. There's just a surplus of clothing being sent to them, and they don't know what to do with it. So it's really just rotting.
Yeah,
That's so
at the
sad.
bottom.
I think that's why I think some businesses nowadays, they know that all these clothes are being sent to landfills, illegal landfills even, in the bottom of the ocean, which are obviously terrible for the environment. And some new brands have began implementing design solutions to this. So going back to circular fashion, it's when companies design, manufacture, and consume clothing that allows for reuse, repair, and recycle at the end of that clothing's life. And we talked about how last time a lot of brands that were trying to tap into the fast fashion industry designed clothes to eventually wear out quickly and quicker than clothing should.
Right.
Which is why I think circular fashion is a really cool idea that it's basically the opposite of that.
You know, Jocelyn, you mentioned at Brandy, there's all this waste. Can you talk about that?
I mean, yeah, I feel like every few days, when I worked at Brandy Melville, our damages bin would go 5 feet, 6 feet up in the air, and most of the time it's for very minimal things like a seam rip or a small makeup stain that usually comes out in the wash. And I think that's partly due to the reason that a lot of customers come into Brandy Melville specifically and they don't respect the clothing.
Yeah.
They kind of just trash the place, if I'm being honest. And
Well, not just Brandy. I also work at J. Crew.
That's
and
shocking.
That damages bin is you open the drawer and it falls out and you have to put it back. It's overflowing every single day. And I'm what? I look at a piece, I'm what's wrong with this? Why did they bring it back for a damage? And it's literally the smallest little seam.
Yeah.
And that individual piece of clothing is being dumped at Kantamanto market.
that's
we
not
see it with
okay.
our own eyes. It's our own individual hand putting that piece of clothing into the damages bin and shipping it off to Ghana.
Yeah, and I think that's why circular fashion is so important. And even popular brands like Adidas have began implementing this idea into their business. For example, they created this running shoe called Future Craft, and the whole point of the shoe is that because running shoes wear out faster than normal gym shoes do, so the whole point of that is when the shoe is at the end of its life and it's completely ran out, they allow customers to return it to the brand so that they can take down different parts of it and then reuse that old worn down shoe to create a new running shoe within the same brand of
That's awesome.
Future Craft, yes.
I love that.
That reminds me of another innovative concept I heard of called re-commerce, which is where they take damaged products and then first they repair them, and then they'll reuse it, or they're gonna recycle it or resell it. And back in the Bay Area, there's this company called Trove, and I saw a stat that Trove Partners saved 2 million kilograms of carbon emissions, and diverted over 200 kilograms of waste from landfill. And they really work with their clients to find these solutions to rework the clothes, remake them, recycle them, donate them, sell off. They've worked with companies like Arc'teryx, Patagonia, Lululemon. So I would love to see J. Crew and Brandy start doing that.
Me too. Yeah. They need to hop on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few ideas out there that, for example, the Kantamanto market and also Brandy and J. Crew can begin implementing clearly, because they don't need these clothes to be laying around in a box or not laying around, but being dumped into illegal landfills or the ocean and polluting our world.
Right.
There's solutions out there already that popular brands like you mentioned, and including Adidas, have began implementing that there should be more awareness about.
Right.
Yeah, another like startup that has really helped with like recycling and regenerating items, I feel like, is Evernew, which is a recycling textile supplier based in Seattle. Like they take clothing waste that literally ends up in landfills, like any item that's like really, like 100.
Wait, hold on. They walk into the landfill and snatch it and take it?
Not like that. Okay, not like that, but like they do take like stuff that was supposed to end up in landfills. Like, for example, they collaborated with Zara a few years ago, and they took like clothing.
The devil.
That's the last one I hijacked, bro. They take it.
Let me finish. They took customer product returns at Zara, which we know probably would have ended up in a landfill.
Yeah.
They took the materials from that and they regenerated it into a new fabric, and they made a capsule collection with Zara. And it sold out in the first week.
No
That's
way.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wait,
Like,
yeah, I
it's so
heard
good.
about that. I think this other company kind of pioneered it. I heard about it's
Yeah.
called Renewcell. And it was developed in Sweden actually, but the material is called circulose, and it's developed from cotton and old other textiles that have microfibers in it that aren't good for the environment. And they use that to develop clothes that are more sustainable and that'll last a longer time. So, and you can even continue like the circular fashion that I mentioned previously with this material that they're beginning to use. And I think even popular brands like Levi's, and you mentioned Zara's using it, and H&M, which are two fast fashion brands, have began using, which is awesome that it's finally caught their attention.
Right.
And you know what? It's great because like these fabrics that they're regenerating, it's like even stronger than just regular virgin cotton. It's more durable. You can like customize it to fit what you need. Like they've used like cotton waste and made it into denim before.
That's
like they
amazing.
literally worked with Levi's to like prototype a version of their iconic, I think it's the 501 jean. Yeah. And they use like completely recycled products from that. So
That's
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
yeah, I think the next step though is like they need to be able to find a way to get it to the masses, because like the collaborations they've had so far, like with Stella McCartney and Adidas, they only made 50 items, and it was like very limited because of like logistical problems as well.
Yeah.
So-
I feel like that's also part of like the whole market testing phase of everything. Like they're trying to see how the market reacts to that. But
Yeah,
in reality, I don't think that this is even something that should be like, oh, will the market like this or not? This is something that should happen regardless.
Oh, definitely, because
Yeah.
the market definitely wants it. You know, they worked with Carlos Campos, which is he's a designer in New York City. This is like their first commercial product they ever put out. It's just a classic black T-shirt. It was named like the softest tee, and it sold out in a day.
Wow.
It was priced at like
Good name.
$110, sold out immediately.
Wait, that's really good. People are like willing to pay the price for that. Yeah.
I hope that like it can go from being that high of a price though to being something that every consumer
definitely,
can pay for, you know? That would be
Right.
really
Yeah.
powerful and good.
I feel like if they can reach more brands who are actually willing to implement this into their supply chain and like really like completely change their entire like
Yeah.
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
like it would become more affordable
Yes.
as more businesses start to head in that direction.
Like them targeting brands like we mentioned previously, like the fast fashion brands,
Yeah.
Zara and H&M.
Yeah.
Them targeting brands like that and starting to use these new materials and limit their waste, even if the fast fashion industry continues to, you know, produce items that are trendy and in the moment. It would be better if they were doing that in a sustainable way.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that company you mentioned, Swedish, H&M is Swedish. You guys should work together. I don't see why not.
Yeah. No, but I think a big thing comes down to the consumer, and you need to have the demand for it. And I think there is the demand for it, but we need to like have the industry as a whole going in this direction so that it's available for consumers.
The thing is, though, like, the industry still doesn't want to, because they know they're going to make more profits from unsustainable practices.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
unfortunately, like, we still want cute clothes at cheap prices. I feel like that's the first step is to change our individual mentality through that as well.
Jaslyn,
Let's just do it again.
what were you mentioning?
What was I mentioning? Oh, I guess we just really need to, like, take it upon ourselves to kind of correct our mentality. Like, rather than just buying a new $20 shirt every week, you can save up your money and buy a $100 t-shirt at the end of the month after, like, really carefully considering how often you're going to wear it. Do you really like the design of it? Like, does it speak to you, you know? And that not only kind of saves you money in the long run, but it also really, like, tones down how much you consume.
No, it does. It's an investment. Like, we talked about this last episode, like, buying clothes should be an investment and not something that's just, like, a constant disposable process. Right.
I think a positive change that we're seeing in the market for consumers and how we're changing consumer mentality, which we're going to touch on next week, is apps like Depop, or what's the one you're on?
It's called Curtsy.
Curtsy.
Yes, Etsy even.
Etsy, where we can really find clothes that people don't want anymore or that have withstood the test of time, you know, like vintage t-shirts, that kind of thing. And maybe instead buy a shirt for $5, $10, $15, $20 and, like, still be reducing our carbon footprint and impact on the environment without splurging on
right. And you're significantly
t-shirt.
expanding the life of that article of clothing.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, as you heard from Simi, next week we'll be touching on the consumer mindset and things that consumers can do through apps like Depop, Etsy, Curtsy.
Yes.
And we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.